The Philadelphia 76ers have made a mistake. The Joel Embiid-Ben Simmons pairing in Philly is now in its fourth season. I'm not sure how much time Daryl Morey and the 76ers should give this duo. In 2014, the Philadelphia 76ers took Joel Embiid with the number 3 overall pick. 2 years later, they took Ben Simmons with number 1 overall pick in the 2016 NBA draft. Embiid had to miss time in his first 2 seasons with injuries, and he even missed a lot of time in his rookie season, but from what we saw early on, we already knew Joel Embiid was going to be good. And with Ben beating out Donovan Mitchell and Jason Tatum for the Rookie of the Year, Philly's new pairing was scary for the league. With the Magic Johnson-LeBron James comparisons flying left and right for Ben Simmons, along with the just a jump shot away takes, the 76ers young duo had some crazy potential. But after disappointing early playoff exits and with Ben Simmons' minimal improvements, specifically on the offensive end, I don't think this duo should stay together for too much longer. We know the inherent problem with this duo. Joel Embiid needs the paint to dominate as the best post scorer in the NBA. And Ben Simmons also needs the lane to drive, and he provides zero spacing, so if he's above the 3-point line, you don't have to worry about him at all as a defender. And when you have a dominant and unstoppable paint presence like Embiid, preferably when a shot-creating perimeter guy so he can have a nice inside-out dynamic. A guy like James Harden would be perfect next to Joel Embiid, but apparently keeping Ben Simmons, Matisse Thybulle, and Tyrese Maxey was way too much for one of the best offensive players ever. And this is where the Philadelphia 76ers made a big mistake. And maybe the Sixers were willing to give all of that up, and Houston was just more intrigued by other offers, but we have heard a lot of reports, a lot of different things, and we really don't know what the deal was. But if I had control of the Sixers, I would have done everything in my power to pair James Harden with Joel Embiid. They had a chance recently, even before the season they had a chance, but apparently Daryl Morey thought Simmons was a little bit too valuable to trade for Harden. And I get Ben Simmons is still young, but his reluctance to shoot has been a problem since year 1. And in year 4, it's shown little to no improvement. And it's frustrating because he can be even better than he is right now, which is an all-star. Great passing vision, great slashing ability, with his combined height and agility, good handle, and he's become an elite, versatile defender. So he's really great at everything except for shooting the ball. And with his versatility, he doesn't need to be an amazing shooter, but the only way he can get better is if he actually tried, and I don't know if I'd bank on him magically becoming more confident with all this time that has passed. And I'm not going to claim that I know Ben more than he does, but with his skills, with the attributes that I just named, the possibility for him to become an MVP level player is right there. But we've been fantasizing about this potential player for years, and it may be time to let go of that. The Sixers had a chance to pair Harden with Embiid, and they made a mistake not doing this deal. Philly fans said they didn't want Harden because of his recent drama in Houston, but look what he's doing in Brooklyn right now. He just needed to get out of there. And I would love to believe that the Sixers will be just fine without James Harden, but I'm just not sure. Ben Simmons still being the same player that he's been for years caps out the Sixers' ceiling as a team. Not trading for Harden as soon as possible would be a decision that the 76ers regret in the long run. As I wonder if the Sixers should hold on to Ben Simmons for much longer, I do realize that he's a very good player and he's still only 24. Maybe giving up on him in his 4th season is a bit much, and maybe the Sixers' new offense with Danny Green and Seth Curry instead of Al Horford and Josh Richardson will be enough for a really deep playoff run. With the way Embiid's playing, he's looking like a player that can really lead a team deep in the playoffs, not to mention the spacing and team fit being much better, along with the coaching staff seeing a massive upgrade in his past offseason. But as currently constructed, a finals appearance for the 76ers is not exactly probable. Even with other improvements in early first or second round exit, it's still very possible. Tobias Harris is having a great season, so props to him for that, but this will need to keep up come playoff time. But at the end of the day, we all know Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid are not an ideal fit. They've shown that they can exist on the same court, but don't complement each other all that well. And as I think about the team that the Sixers had a chance to build with James Harden, Tobias Harris, and Joel Embiid as their 3 main guys, I can't help but be pessimistic about Philadelphia's current roster. With the Nets struggling on the defensive end, and with the Bucks still being a team that struggles in the half court at times, I think a Sixers team with Harden instead of Ben Simmons would make the finals and really take over as the best team in the Eastern Conference. We know what James Harden brings to the table. He's one of the best scorers of all time, and he's a great passer. Along with that, he's been questioned in the playoffs throughout his career, and rightfully so. But this time, he wouldn't have to go through a team like the Warriors or the LA Lakers from last year. Pairing a guy like that with Joel Embiid would just be ridiculous. And if you've been watching the Sixers this year, you know how much of a different beast Joel has been. He's posting career-high numbers in efficiency, and he's getting to the free throw line as much as ever, just dominating people. And I'm someone who believes Nikola Jokic is the best center in the league, but many people love to make it seem like the two are just worlds apart. When in reality, while Jokic may edge out Embiid by a little bit, it's still very close. And with the season Joel is having for Philly, he's looking like the MVP as of right now, especially with how much the Sixers struggle without him. So when looking at Joel Embiid's monster season along with what we know Harden can do, on top of the season Tobias Harris is having, with improved spacing and coaching, I don't know how the Sixers didn't do this trade and try and capitalize on this window that they have right now. Simmons and Young he's already made 2 All-Star games. I get it, but my question for the people who thought the Sixers should keep Ben Simmons and thought they made the right decision, those questions would be, what's next for Ben Simmons? What does he work on in the offseason? How should he improve his game going forward? And the obvious answer to that question is having a more reliable jump shot, but as we've seen, I don't know if that's going to happen anytime soon. And at this point, the hope for Sixers is that they could trade for Bradley Beal. And as the Washington Wizards lose more and more, that seems more and more possible. After every game now, we see the frustration on Beal's face, but I don't know if Moore would be willing to trade for Beal if trading Ben was necessary. I don't know if Moore would be able to do that. I don't know if he would be willing to do that. Philadelphia could get a premier bucket in the league to pair with the dominant presence in Embiid, but I don't know if that might just be wishful thinking at this point. The Sixers have another step to take if they want to win a championship, and they had a great chance to step into championship contention by getting James Harden. But we will see what they can do going forward without him. In conclusion, the 76ers made a mistake in not trading for James Harden. The duo of James Harden and Joel Embiid would be unguardable, and they shoot about 20 free throws a game with just the two of them. Daryl Morey and the 76ers decided to keep Ben and see what they could do with their current star duo. I'm not super optimistic about Ben Simmons and his game going forward. I'm also not super optimistic about Philadelphia's chance at a championship. I really wish the 76ers pulled the trigger on a Harden trade as soon as they could to really jump into championship contention as soon as possible. Whether that was when the opportunity presented itself before the season or when it came up again a number of weeks ago. But the reality is the 76ers front office stayed solid and kept their roster. So let's hope this roster is enough to make some serious noise in the Eastern Conference. Do you think the 76ers made the right decision to keep Ben Simmons, or should they have traded him for James Harden? Thank you guys for watching. This has been Rashad with Hoops Times 2. The subscribe button if you want to see more content like this. The like button if you enjoyed this video. Peace out.